There are several tales that Ryback has shared on the talks that he had with Triple H during his stint in WWE's Vince Russo is the. Recently, a former head writer revealed his perspective in reference to a comment that the game has previously made about the stars of the company's future in the enterprise. The middle of the 2000s and the middle of the 2010s, it was said that Cena was the best in WWE babyface attraction in full-time employment in the main event of the preceding generations. There was often a focus on legends in the narrative, one of them being Hulk Hogan, was Steve and The Rock. He had an appearance on Sports SK as Austin Russo, accompanied by the Wrestling Outlaws and the presenter, Dr. In addition to NWA World's Chris Featherstone, champion of the heavyweight, EC3, recognizing an earlier meeting with, it was noted by Ryback, a senior writer, that Triple H, at one point, I informed the large man that WWE would, never again will you focus your attention on a single individual. Mate, I don't think that man Ryback is telling the truth. The reason he does not have anything to do with anything, obtaining a position in the wrestling industry is mostly due to the fact that he is a straight shooter. Since he does not have a career in the wrestling industry, commercial activity there will be, Triple H informed Ryback. There will never be another John Cena in any other role. It is impossible to find another set of words. Wrestling champion, who is more powerful than the corporation. The footage may be seen above from 3:35 to 1 o'clock. Get an explanation from Russo as to why casual viewers could have problems with the recent actions of Bronson Reed. Raw should be pushed. Regarding the Vince Russo, the repercussions of Triple H's remark about WWE, it was in July of 2022 that Triple H replaced his as WWE's father-in-law. Vince McMahon continues to a unique figure that has won over a lot of fans. The on-screen product has been appreciated ever since. A 14-time world champion who started supervising Raw and SmackDown, even if Vince Russo is of the opinion that a great number of wrestlers are scheduled to win falls short of a comparable amount of matches as a consequence, they struggle to obtain sufficient popularity to get the top spot. The 50-by-50 booking is where the stars are located. Arrives, my brother Russo. We have continued ever since he made the statement. I've seen it, dude. We've watched everyone else use this. Everyone should remain at the same level, from 101 to. Ryback quit WWE in 2016 after reaching the 115th position, refusing to accept a new. It is better to sign the 42-year-old contract. Acknowledged for his work on the Intercontinental, a reign in the championship, and a run in the main event, late 2012 and early 2013. The site of the incident. He was also an initial member of the group in 2013. Your thoughts on the Nexus faction? What are they? Regarding the comment made by Triple H, the discussion, please press the button and let us know in the world of. There is a professional wrestling competition. A never-ending whirlwind of rumors behind the scenes. The politics and controversy that fans are seldom exposed to, being privy to. Yet every once in a while, a narrative disappears without being seen, providing admirers with provide a look into the complex network of interactions that had a role in shaping the wrestling. So this was the situation when Vince did it. Former WWE head writer Russo is a member of the WW. A special piece of information that was given out. The wrestling was accompanied by shockwaves. There were two major players in the community narrative. Among the most well-known names in the sector, Triple H, the assassin of the cerebral cortex, and Ryback, powerhouse, which was once on the verge of becoming. Everything started on a whim for WWE's next big thing. Wednesday afternoon on a Tuesday, a Russo, Vince, renowned for his contentious activities. Her outspoken character made the decision to take a seat for a conversation with a well-known wrestling figure podcast with a significant amount of expertise in the business and the wrestling industry and a reputation for, without reserving power, Russo was not a newcomer. Visitor who is eagerly awaited that the host dove headfirst into the deep end, openly displaying his excitement. Vince, you've seen all there is to see in this industry, yet, as of late, there has been a great deal of discussion over Ryback. The departure from WWE caused a great deal of. Are there any questions that have not been answered? Illuminate the truth about what took place between both he and Triple H. Russo sat back in their seats, a smile flashing over his lips as he sat in his chair. Adored this, the excitement of being the one in charge, even if it's only a little bit, to draw back the curtain. Bit by bit, he inhaled deeply and prepared to let loose a bombshell that would have repercussions. From the perspective of the wrestling world, I have never been dishonest with you ladies. Russo, Ryback was one of the people who started his tone serious. It was those men who had all of the tools that he had. Look, the level of intensity and the number of supporters were. Yet, there is more to this than meets the eye. Company rather than just completing the task at hand, as the host nodded and hung on to the audience. For every word that Russo says, the audience, what was it like to listen from all across the world, as well? This was the inside information that really intrigued me. Russo insisted on going back, and they longed to see you. When Ryback was at the height of his career, backstage, there were a number of folks who believed in him, but, as is common knowledge in this industry, there is more to it than merely what can be done when it comes to politics, time is everything. Who among you is prepared to advocate on your behalf? In response, the presenter said, So, are you saying that? But Ryback's failure was not completely his own fault. Mistake, no. Russo did not shake his head in any way. Ryback was a victim caused by circumstances nonetheless. The true narrative here is that, namely, the one that has not been disclosed to anybody. Before he left the room, Triple H told him something firm, and I must insist that it was not the case. At this moment, the tension in the situation is pretty. The air in the room was thick. After leaning in, the host, whereas the crowd as a whole is getting closer, the time had arrived, and they held their breath. They were waiting for Triple H as we were doing so. Everyone is aware that is a master of the game in both, and he has been around outside of the ring as well. A sufficient amount of time to be able to play the politics of how to safeguard his position and how to, so that everything continues to work smoothly. But there are occasions when this requires being harsh. Regrettably, Ryback was the one who made the choices. Being on the receiving end of more than one of those, that choice of action, after a brief delay, Russo let the severity of his words sink in. Throughout the time when Ryback was still present, he had a confidential meeting with Triple H, the band. The particulars of the gathering have been preserved, keeping a secret up to this point, based on what I have heard from my sources. Who was Triple H? He was very forthright with Ryback, he informed him. In spite of the fact that he had the potential to be, he was a great star, but he lacked that important ingredient. The host's eyes were the focus of WWE's attention, expanded the scope of the factor, but Ryback was the chanting from the fans, eat extra food for me every night. Russo acknowledged the host's presence with a nod. Exactly the same idea, however, in Triple H's opinion, not enough. He informed Ryback that he was had to develop in order to usher in something fresh. Despite the fact that Ryback is the sort of person who, since he is a male, he did not take it very well. He has never lacked self-assurance in knowing who he is, what he brings to the ring in order to be successful. The fact that he was informed by someone like Triple H not being adequate, it was a difficult pill to swallow. A host leaned back and took a deep breath to swallow it all in, which is why Ryback decided to leave. Russo refused to acknowledge that there were more influences. You have creative differences when you play money, regardless of what you call it. Discussion with, that was the last nail in the coffin, Triple H. The same way that Ryback felt mistreated. There were no donations made to the firm. Because you are valued. And when you are feeling like you are having a hard time, there is no acknowledgement of the effort. It is only a matter of time until you make the decision to walk. In the distance, the host sent out a soft whistle. That is a shocking revelation. What do you think, Vince?